Hey, good morning and happy Thanksgiving, Bob with Trade Genius. So, two things happened yesterday that affect the stock market. One you know about, President Trump signed the Hong Kong bill, and now we're going to find out really for real the effect the trade has on the stock market. My view, it's always just been an excuse that it's not. If it was good news, they ramped it because that's where they were going. Because Chairman Powell has been shoveling billions into the banking system, and they're not lending it, so they're leveraging it and sticking it into the stock market, which is absolutely insane too. And the Japanese have been as well. So talk about buying at the top. But we hit a fib retrace on this. I think it was the 261. You guys can look up the fib thing. I'm not going to go flip around and look for it. Yesterday, and also the VIX is so oversold right now with short contracts that a retracement is due there. And my theory has always been they're going to do a sell-off before the end of the year for two reasons. One is to get it out of the way before the election, and number two, so they can generate federal tax receipts for the first quarter of 2020, and that was to fill the coffers, because that's where a lot of our tax revenue comes from, is from the stock market. And I know, Trump probably didn't want to have a sell-off in 2020, because if he loses the election, then all that tax receipt goes into the arms of the Democratic president in 2021, and number two is that he's dealing with stock pressure. Now that's to the extent that they think they can control it. So I'm looking for a sell-off in the market. I'm not sure to what extent. I've been amazed. This is like the third time in my life I've watched the amazing levitating stock market, and you just never know when it's truly going to end. And then when it ends, you look back and say, of course it was ending there. But what does happen when these stock markets sell off is that they retrace the last big move. And I think I'm not talking about hourly, I'm talking about daily, and I'll show you that in a minute. But right now, it's been pretty moot. So here's the sell-off from the announcement at the end of the day. It didn't. I know we're light trading, but it usually exaggerates the moves. You have pretty flat overnight, and then a little bit of pop this morning. Markets close early, and then they open again at 6 p.m. and it's carving out a little bit of a bull flag here. So it'll be interesting to see what Friday brings, but I'm expecting some sort of sell-off. And what we're going to look for now is that if we could breach this 31.55 area, then China will be really pissed because they have no effect or leverage on us. So I'm expecting them to really try to do that and then have a thing sell off. Now, if it doesn't happen, start selling from here, then forget all this stuff. A lot of this is micro stuff. It's where I live, but you go out to the daily here, you start looking for the opportunities now to see where reversal should happen. And we're still green as go mode here. This was a sell here, but it was simply a dip to buy. And these are oversold areas, by the way. I mean, overbought areas. We've just been ignoring them and just blowing through them like nothing. And so now we got to see, it needs to break this, okay, and then try to test this and fail. Then I'm looking for this thing to take it all the way back to here, and then we can talk about now what's up with the stock market. But we're due, and then here's VXX, and I got a buy signal right at the end. This is a very reliable signal here. I got a buy signal at the end of the day. I didn't take it because I figured, I was going to buy calls. I don't ever buy them Never say never though in the stock market. We're pushed down so hard, so I think this is a tradable bounce that I can make some money on. So I didn't do it, then the announcement happened, but it didn't really move it too much. But I'm expecting now a push higher on BXX and at least an opportunity to trade it. We do have some SH in the recommendation for just these situations, is that you always have to have your foot out the door a little bit, and I didn't go leverage though, and so I think we just have to wait and see. Friday could be a really interesting day. A lot of times they push this thing down really hard, and this happened. Excuse me. This happened with we had situations back in the Middle East, and the market tanked on a Wednesday night, and I was short, and I was so stoked. I said I'm going to rake it in on Friday. By the time the market opened, I had puts. I didn't have futures contracts. I had puts on. By the time the market opened on Friday, they bought the whole thing back. So I wouldn't be surprised if the PPTs in there are going to be in there hard to make China look like they have no influence on our stock market. So be prepared for that. But at some point, the market's just going to simply fall on its own weight. And especially as we get closer and closer to the election, because people are going to want to do a wait and see. There's too many unknowns out there right now, and people may want to cash into chips this year because they have no idea if a Democrat gets in office in 2021 if they'll do, and they've done this before, do a retro tax increase. So people might want to be out the door in 2019 and just kind of sit back on 2020. We got a heck of a move here this year, so just bear that in mind. And I'll talk about some other stocks here a little bit later. But I want to get this out. I wanted to get this out yesterday, but it was just nice, just relaxing for an evening without worrying about the stock market. So I'm at it now before I throw the turkey on. You guys have a great day, and I look forward to sharing more with you a little bit later. Bye bye.